Yeah, I'm ready.
Hi, I'm Leonard Fakinetti. This is Matt, and we are going to write some code together. Following up on our work yesterday, we are working in Caxa, this JavaScript project of mine that allows you to package a Node.js application into a single executable binary, and we are working specifically on ARM support. So let's jump right in. This is where we left yesterday. And we were working on this GitHub Actions configuration, and we stopped at this point where I noticed that we need to run this command to build a stub,
Mhm.
and I noticed that, oh, but it would be nice to have this on the package JSON file so that not only we run this on the CI, but we also make it easy for anyone to run this on the command line if they want to do that. So we started lifting this from the GitHub Actions configuration into the package JSON. And we ended up with this line, which is not exactly the same, but it has the advantage of working on every operating system, hopefully.
Mhm.
And as far as I can tell, this was working last time. So let's try this again. npm run build stub. And before I do that, I will clean the cache stub. And it ran, and when I refresh, we should see the cache stub there. So that is building, and I have not tested this on Windows, but I suppose it will work because cross-env is cross-platform, Go is the same, and then every other argument is the same. Ampersand works in both uh, macOS/Linux and Windows. This is also
Mhm.
cross-platform, and all this is cross-platform. So this should work on Windows even if you don't have the Windows subsystem for Linux and Bash installed. So with that, instead of doing this, we can do npm run build stub, exactly what we did right here. And
Mhm.
I am betting that we don't need this line, that npm will be available, but while npm itself may be available, crossenv and shx may be unavailable. And I can think of two ways of solving this. One way is to npm install, which will install all the dependencies in package.json, but it will install all dependencies. So it will install the ones we care about, but it will also install everything else, which is fine,
Right.
but it's slower. Another thing we can do is, instead of installing the package dependencies, we can install global, and then we can install only the things that we care about.
Mhm.
Or alternatively, we could copy and paste this line or even stick with the original line we had there. So three options. Install all the package dependencies, install globally only the dependencies we need, which is faster, but it is one more place where we have to keep track of what we are using. If we change this command,
Mhm.
we would need to change this part as well. And option number three is to do the platform specific way, which is this, and that's what we had before. Do you have a preference?
So if we think ahead to the ARM support, we're not going to be using a Docker image that has Node and Go together. So I think it might be the smartest route to just do the command itself in the GitHub Actions rather than using an npm script, because we're going to have to do that in the Go Docker image anyway. Unless you want to try and install Go and Node in one Docker image, and that's the headache.
Yeah. So I think that doing this was valuable because now we do have a command that people can run and it's
Mhm.
reproducible. But we need some sort of coupling between what we have here in package.json and what we will have here in the configuration
Mhm.
for the runner. This coupling can be the fact that we have installed Node, or the coupling can be the list of dependencies, or the coupling can be the command itself.
Mm.
So I agree. I think that having the command itself here makes more sense. Baby's not happy. Yeah, so I sort of circled back, but we got
Right.
something from it. I think that having this is valuable.
Yeah.
And
And
now the
maybe there
only
should be a
dependency.
comment in the workflow that says that it comes from the script so that you know to maintain both of them at the same time in case something changes with one of them.
That would be something that I would appreciate, yes. And then maybe we could have something similar here. A comment saying that this needs to be maintained when you change this as well.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, there is no trivial way of adding a comment to a JSON file.
Yeah, exactly. You could just put a hashtag in the command itself that says, "Hey, you need to go check it out," and then the command line will just ignore it like it's a normal comment.
You mean something like this?
Yeah, I mean it's not the prettiest way, but that's the
Yeah.
fastest thing I can think of.
I'm not sure that this would fly on Windows and PowerShell, and I won't bother testing, so
Yeah,
I'll not put a comment here. But I can put a comment easily here. So this comment is now stale because we will not need node in this context. But if you change the build commands below, also change on package JSON for people who are compiling locally. And then we want to run this command exactly as it is.
It does have this different separator, or the old separator.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm looking at this now to see if we could borrow some parts of this, but we won't have cross-env, and the path will be the same, so we can borrow some of these. Yeah, I'll borrow some of these. So this is setting the environment variable for this part, but now we have hard-coded the binary here, which is good. And
well, not necessarily, since this is going to be running on a matrix. We have to differentiate the binaries for each operating system that we built.
No, so not at this stage, because we will have different jobs on the matrix. These are going to run with the same path, but on different machines.
Right, but when you're putting all the stubs together into one artifact, you want them to have different names. Otherwise, they'll get overwritten.
At this point, right?
Yes. Yeah, so you could rename it down there, but I just wanted to make sure that was, or you were aware of it.
Yeah, I think that this is a better place to do this, because now we are saying that this is the canonical path. This is where you find the stub. And from a single machine's perspective, this is where you find the stub. And then when uploading, we need to rename it. But other than that, I think that this can stay as it is. And then echo will work everywhere. So everything here will work everywhere. And I don't think that we need to see these stubs now, because we are already passing the source explicitly here. And in fact, this stubs directory was removed yesterday. So I think that this is the command that we want to run. But there is, well, since it's one command, I can put it in one line. But there is the problem of macOS ARM. So if the matrix OS is macOS, then we will want to cross-compile. And I'm pretty sure that somewhere...
would overwrite.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That would overwrite the x64 that you already built. Yeah.
Yeah. So in this command, since this is just for one particular build, it's okay if we hard-code a different name. And the source is still the same. The echo part will have to change to point to the different file. And we will need some extra flags besides just this one.
Yes.
So let's go to the issue and grab the extra flags. I'm pretty sure Yeah, people have already put some of the flags there.
Yeah.
We
Yeah, I think
have
it's the second one. You
Darwin.
just have to, but you
So
have
we
to
will
add the
need
arm stuff.
and then this. And I suppose this would be enough.
You may have to specify either ARM 7 or ARM 64. Let me double check that.
Okay, while you're checking, I'm going to test. And actually, I have Go here, so I can run this. Unsupported platform Arch. This doesn't work. So I may have to say something like ARM64.
If you do go tool dist list, that will list what you have available on your machine.
Okay. Like this?
If the
Yes.
banner would get out of the way. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So Darwin ARM64. Yes, my initial guess,
All right.
or my second guess, second try, was correct. So let's try this. This is slightly slower. And now let's check what we have there. Yeah, it is macOS executable
Awesome.
ARM64. So this is these are the flags we want. So we can paste this over here. And similarly, okay, so let's move on to the upload artifact. The same way that we have a different build, we will also want a special upload for this guy, but we'll get there. So now we are uploading the artifact, which is taking this file and putting it in the GitHub Actions asset list. And you know something that annoys me about the assets in GitHub Actions? You cannot download them if you are not logged into GitHub.
That's silly.
Yeah. So check this out. We have here an action with some assets. Not yet. But on your branch, on your fork, we do have. So I can come back here and click on the actions on your branch. And then go to one of these. One that passes. So there is an artifact here. And I'm going to open a private tab. And you know what? It's even sillier than you would expect. Oh, they fixed it. Last time I checked, this was a link that you would click and it would fail.
Oh,
but this time it's not a
wow.
link anymore. Yeah. And then you have to sign in to view the logs, which is also silly. Because it's not like it's protected information. Anyone can create an account and anyone will be able to see the logs.
I wonder why they chose to do that.
Yeah. But at least this is only for the development part, not for distribution. When distributing this, we will use a GitHub release, not the GitHub Actions asset, so that will work. It's not a big issue. It's just annoying that it works this way. And there is some discussion on this. I'm following the discussion on that, and it seems like it's low priority for GitHub. Also, assets are only stored for so long. I don't remember how long. It's like a couple of months. It doesn't really matter. But
really?
Yeah, they go away at some point. And I guess it makes sense because it runs on every push. So it's a lot of data.
Well, you can manually rerun jobs. So I guess worst case scenario, you just rerun one of them if you really need the artifact.
Yeah, as long as the artifacts are the same.
Well, it should be if it's on the same commit.
No, my artifact is the result of running Is It Tuesday?
Oh, okay. Well, that's fair.
You know. And GitHub Actions don't necessarily just run when you're pushing. They can run on a time schedule. They can run when someone opens a commit or a pull request, when someone makes a comment. I mean, we all use GitHub Actions as a CI server, but it was designed and marketed as actions. You can run actions when something happens, responding to events.
Yeah, I guess I just never use them that way.
Yeah, I don't think anyone does. And they kind of backported the idea of using GitHub Actions as a CI because that's the obvious use case. Okay, so you're uploading an artifact. The name is stubs. The path will be the same. So I guess at this point, I kind of painted myself in a corner because I named the thing the same. But I think I stand by this decision because it is the canonical place where we expect the binary to be. So I think it's okay if we bite the bullet, and we talked about this yesterday, we give different names to different stubs on the different platforms. So the path will always be this, and then the name will be stub, and then let's put the OS. Oh no, I copied the wrong thing. And then here will be like just AMD64 maybe?
Yeah, all of those will be, except for the special case for the ARM one. So you may have to make another upload artifact.
Yeah.
That only runs for the ARM one.
Yes. So we'll have something like this.
Yes.
And this will upload ARM64, and this will be ARM64. And because we are working
with this,
go ahead.
So with this naming scheme, how are you going to differentiate them in the release assets? Right, they can't all be the same name once they go on the release page. So at some point, you're going to have to rename them anyway.
They will have different names on the releases, and then when downloading, we will download file stub, macOS, AMD64, and then we will download that file, but we will name the downloaded file with the right naming scheme.
Right.
Coming to think of this, there are some people who want to cross-compile stuff, and then they would provide different node executables, and I would bundle the different node executables. I'm not too keen on this idea, but it's not that hard. We just need a command line flag to say where is your node.js. And I think similarly we could accept where is your stub. So
yeah,
I think that we can have this as the default name and convention over configuration, right?
Right.
So we are. I think we are good here. So because we're working with GitHub Actions and it always takes a while for us to see the outputs of this, we will go on to work on the build ARM part, but let's just push what we have for now and we'll leave that running while we continue. So I will take this job that is the build AMD64 native, and I'll paste it over here on main, which is what we are doing. We are grabbing the parts that we care about and we're putting everything here. So we have test and publish. I'll comment all this out for now, and I'll just leave this. And I guess I will rename this from build AMD64 native to just build Intel. How about that?
Sure.
We have Intel and ARM. And then I'll save this, and I don't know exactly what to do with this file. Do I comment everything here out? Do you think that this will work?
Yeah, you should. If you go back to the main, you can actually remove the output flags for all of the includes, since we're using the standard name or canonical name now. Yeah, those.
Fair.
We're not using those anywhere.
So at this point, the matrix...
Oh, we don't even need to include, yeah.
Yeah. It's just this. All right, I like that conceptual compaction that we are doing here. Yeah, everything in here looks good to me. Yeah, I'm willing to give this one a try. So let's see what we have changed. This is good. I want that. The TS config I don't want because first of all, we don't need it for this test, but also we have already fixed this on a different branch. So discard this change. Right. This is comment everything out. I like this one. You know what? Instead of commenting everything out, I will move this file somewhere else so GitHub Actions doesn't pick it up. So that. And then main, yeah. The stub is in a different place, and we removed all the hard-coded stubs in the Git repository. I guess this is the time where we celebrate, because this is removing these files is one of the reasons why you wanted to do this in the first place, right?
Exactly. Hooray.
All right. Great. And I can push this, and we'll see.
Now, is that going to push to, since you were checked out on my, oh yeah, it just pushes right to the pull request. Awesome.
Yeah, all right. It's there. And here over GitHub Actions, we should see an action starting, but we don't. So I wonder if it's going to run on your fork.
Allowed for pull. Yeah, I don't think so, because you would have to open a pull request on my fork.
No.
Right, you don't have.
No, I have access to your fork because the action is running right here. So I'm pushing to your fork. Yeah, I think that when you are open, this is a somewhat new feature on GitHub, but when you are opening a pull request, you can check this box that says allow maintainers to push or something, allow maintainers to make commits on this branch, which effectively, I didn't exactly understand how that worked from a maintainer's perspective. But when I contributed to some open source projects, I left that enabled, like when I contributed some formula to Homebrew, I left that enabled, and then people were pushing to my branch. But I never saw how that happened from my perspective, which is interesting. But in any case, it failed. So let's see what failed. Well, one of them succeeded, so that's nice, and Windows failed. Okay.
It's trying to run under PowerShell. We may actually need that bash enabled.
Yeah.
This was running with cross-env, right?
No, it's not, because we said that we didn't want to install cross-env.
Oh, right. Right. I forgot we took that out for that.
So now I think we should be able to just say this. When we say run, we say that.
Probably just with. Yeah. Or just that.
Yeah, I think that we don't need with because we are not calling some action like this. We are just run. This is just the run thing. So I think that this is how you say it. Are you checking the documentation?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I am testing.
I kind of hate the documentation. That's fair.
And I like how fast this is because it's just a pre-compiled image that has Go in it. So it's super fast, and compiling Go code is super fast. So this step is super fast, and I like that. And now what we expect to see is all the jobs succeeding, and we expect to see 4 artifacts.
Right. Windows didn't fail out. See what Mac does.
Yay! And macOS will be slower because it's doing 2 builds.
Yeah.
When you're developing these kinds of infrastructure, do you find yourself looking at the progress bar like we are right now?
Yes, tons of times. But what's worse is for the project I maintain, sometimes the build logs don't actually load, and you're just sitting there staring at a blank screen because the logs just aren't refreshing. And
Yeah,
it's
that
so
happens to me too.
frustrating.
I mean, it may have happened just now. Okay, we
Uh-oh.
can see the log. Oh
It
yeah,
didn't find.
everything succeeded, and we do have artifacts, but only 3 of them. So we
Yeah,
have
it said it
AMD,
couldn't find the
AMD.
ARM64.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you actually go into the Mac OS one, yeah, there.
So why would that be? Oh, okay. I know what that is.
Different name.
Yeah. ARM64, ARM64, ARM64. I'll select this and I'll see all of them highlight. So now this will work.
Mhm.
I'll push this just in case, but meanwhile, we can start working on the build ARM part of this. And I guess I can uncomment the whole thing now. It won't run. So we already covered this part. And we have build dash Intel, so we'll have build dash ARM. We are not using names. We are doing Ubuntu latest. And here on the platforms, these are... so yeah, this is new to me. I want you to explain what's going on here, because this is not a regular platform as this is a platform, right?
Right.
You
So
cannot just say
it's
runs
not
on.
it's not the runner platform. It's a string for the Docker runtime command.
Okay. And that will
It's
be
for passing
used...
into that dash dash platform. Yeah.
Okay.
If you
I get it.
Yeah, it's used there. We could rename it to something else. It's just a variable
No,
name.
I really like how descriptive this is. I mean, it's Linux, it's ARM, it's version 6, 7, and 8. We do have some comment on the chat saying, Lauren says, GitHub Actions actually has issues right now. Oh, what kinds of issues?
Uh-oh.
I mean, our jobs are running,
Discord, so... See what he said there?
Our jobs are running, and yeah, I just checked the one we just pushed, and we do have 4 artifacts. We do have macOS, ARM, and AMD, and we have Ubuntu and Windows there as well.
So if we're going to keep the canonical binary name, we can get rid of the output variables in the includes.
These
and
ones,
then we
right?
need to talk about how to test. Yeah. So if it's going to be switched to the caxa-stub, right, for everything, then we can get rid of those.
So I just removed it, and then I'll look for the matrix output, and everywhere where I see the matrix output, yeah, in all those places I'll put node modules dot bin caxa stub there. And Felipe Castillo says on the chat, apparently less than 6% of users are seeing the lays starting jobs. Okay, good to know, but
it's good to know we're the 6%.
Yeah, we are not the 6%. We are lucky. So, okay, let's go over
the
this.
Test bin, yeah.
It's hard to figure out what's going on in this matrix if we don't look at the steps first. So I guess we'll go over the steps and then come back here and see what's going on in the variables.
Right.
So the steps, the first is to check out the code. Then we are setting up key. How do you say this name? Key EMU?
I call it QEMU or MU. Yeah. I don't know for sure. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say it.
Yeah. That's sometimes the case for things like Nginx.
Yeah,
and then people
exactly.
don't know how to say it, and they say something like "and jinx."
Yeah. Yeah, I actually
And
had that confusion with caxa at first because as a native English speaker, I would have said caxa, which sounds a little weird, but it makes more sense in Portuguese, right? That's
yeah,
the where we got it from, right? Yeah,
yes, that's how
caxa
you
sounds way
say.
better.
Yeah, caixa is actually how you say box in Portuguese,
Hmm.
but I thought it would be fun to misspell it because then it looks more like Nexi and it looks more like
Right.
executable kind of thing. Also, I just like misspelling stuff, and I thought it would be very fun to watch people who are not Portuguese speakers just saying, "I'm going to put my application in the caixa."
Yeah.
Find that amusing. So the idea here, I suppose, is because we will need to get some output from this action later, right?
Uh, no, I think that was a copy paste thing. I think it's safe to get rid of that.
Okay. And then this action, what exactly is happening here?
So that is running the command that registers the Docker container or the Docker image that will run QEMU. So if you go to that actions web page, it's really just running a Docker container that sets up QEMU for any platform you want.
Okay, so 2 days ago, I think, I set up Docker on my machine for
Mm,
testing ARM on my development machine. And
mm,
I'm using Docker Desktop. I specifically
right.
installed Docker Desktop so I could leverage the
Mm,
emulation, the architecture emulation. But that's not true of just running Docker in Linux, because in
right.
Linux you don't run Docker Desktop. That is only for Windows and Mac OS. In Linux you just run
Right.
Docker, and then
Mm,
you have to do this setup so that you can emulate the different architectures, right?
yeah. Yeah. And you see the blue command in the little box. That's basically just the command it's running, but
Yeah,
in an
okay.
action.
And from your experience, how often do you have to touch these kinds of things? Because I know that
Not
Docker
very.
and emulation and all these things sometimes break.
Yeah, I we don't touch that very often. I don't think I've ever touched the setup QEMU action, but in our other project that I'm working on, we have I forget which one it's called, but we have something that's constantly checking the dependencies of all of our different things, and it'll just open a pull request and tell you when you need to update. It's Dependabot, I think is the one we're using right now.
Yeah, I am using that. I do get emails from the PandaBot, and I don't even know how to set it up. So I guess it's just a GitHub
Yeah.
thing.
No, we use Renovate. So it's actually a separate service running on someone else's computer. And it just is constantly monitoring your source code and looking at your dependency lists and will just open a pull request automatically when it notices things. But
Okay,
there are tons of different ones, and we've used several, and right now we're using Renovate.
okay. Any reason why that is better than the PandaBot, that you don't have to
That
do any
is
setup?
a question for Lauren
Okay.
because we
And
mostly use it for the JavaScript dependencies, but it will also cover the dependencies in your workflows as well.
fair. And by the way, Lauren says on the chat, GitHub Actions are on fire this week. This is the third incident. Oh, I didn't know that. In all the projects I'm working on, including Kasha, all my builds are breaking anyway. Check out the
Oh,
pull
let's see.
request, Lauren says.
Uh-oh.
So, oh, and Dungeon Revealer. Okay, I will let you all do that while I proceed here. So, with platforms all, I wonder what that is doing.
So that's installing all the different kinds of platforms. I did have it specifically doing the platform that it wanted, but then you had to like transfer the strings a bit, and that was annoying. So if you just do default all, it'll just do all of them, and then it picks the
Oh,
one at
so
runtime that you need.
I was thinking that the same way we have multiple platforms
Mhm.
when we are running the native ones, I thought that we would have multiple platforms or different jobs when we are doing the emulation and running ARM, but we don't actually need that. We can just do the setup for QEMU once and then fire all the different jobs.
You could.
Is that how you set
those
this
would
up?
go sequentially instead of parallel, though. So, but it doesn't take long to compile this, so that you could technically do that. It's just for our use case in Dungeon Revealer, we need it to be parallel because it takes 40 minutes every time.
So the reason why you have platforms all is not that you're going to do all the compilation in one job. It's because you just don't want to have this as an extra thing you have to put here on the matrix.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, got it. Awesome. And Lauren says, go to the pull request on Dungeon Revealer and we'll see why renovate instead of the Pandabot. And Felipe Castillo says, can you combine multiple dependencies in a single pull request with renovate? Okay,
well, that's a question for one.
While they're thinking about renovate, I'll come back here and continue with this this configuration. So enable Docker experimental features required to run Docker run platform at commit. Okay, so this is, I think, a case where we want a name for this because this may not be evident.
Right.
In fact, there is a lot of voodoo going on here.
Yeah, there is. So it's essentially just changing some configuration files.
And I'll put this on the name so that it shows up in the logs when you're looking at the build.
So the reason why this is needed is because to get the -- platform command line option for Docker run, you have to enable the experimental features. It's not enabled in default Docker. That's really the only reason. And it's that -- platform that lets you just pick the exact image architecture you want rather than having to go through and use Docker buildx, and then you have to maintain a Docker file and build the container every time and then pull it out of a running. It's a nightmare to do that. So it's just easier to enable these features and then just run it at runtime.
I wonder if we could ask these people to include this, because it's sort of part of the enabling of the key MU, right?
That is true. That they might actually be doing that or working on that right now. I could look into that.
I mean, we can always just leave some notes for ourselves here, and
I pulled this off of someone else's example somewhere. So I did this all locally on my machine, and then I just found someone's example to do it on Actions automatically and used theirs.
Okay. Because the less we have to maintain, the better, and we could ask them to consider having this, or if they decide that this action is not a place to have this feature, then we could try to extract this into an action ourselves. Because creating one of these actions is relatively straightforward. But I'll just create here a to-do file that says this, and I won't even put this in the caxa repository for now. I guess I'll just go to my desktop and put a to-do file there, and I'll look at this at some point. All right, now we get to the action. Let's build some binaries.
Yes.
And this is calling Docker to run. We don't actually need this because the whole machine will go away, but it doesn't hurt to have this. Sure. The platform is here. The platform is coming from here. Mm-hmm. And then we are mounting a shared volume because we will need to grab the binary from within the container.
Right. Well, we also have to pass the source code in as well.
Yes. Good point. So this is our current directory. This is in the container where you will find that. And my app is probably something that is coming with the image.
No, that's just a directory that I put in. I knew there was going to be nothing called my app, so I wouldn't be rewriting over anything in the Docker image.
And any reason to have this in user source?
No, it could be anywhere as long as it's
Okay.
unique.
So how about we make this slash caxa to
Sure, that works.
make it clear that there's nothing special about this path. And we can have this on the root, we could have this on home, we could have this on, I don't know, OPT. I don't have like a strong opinion. When it comes to Docker containers, I treat them as scratch places. I don't really think about
so
this a whole lot. So I'm fine having this as just on the root. And this is our working directory. Is there some way for us to make this, I was thinking maybe making this long form the same way we have platform, but I think that anyone who is using Docker kind of understands V and W, right?
Yeah,
So
I think so.
And then the Docker image, that is this.
Right. And the reason why I have them explicit is that because the ARM v6 has -alpine in it, so you can't necessarily programmatically extract that string from what you're running on. Otherwise, I would have just done the prefix /golang, but you can't.
Yeah. Okay. And we are going with dashes in most places where we can, like this. And we are doing that specifically because of things like runs on. So I'm going to rename this to Docker -image. Though there are some actions that require underscores. I don't think we have an example here, but
yeah. Since we're using those as variables in the strings, are dashes okay for that? I was using underscores because I wasn't sure if dashes were okay in the bracketed string interpolation thing.
You mean like here?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We can always just
suppose it's
try.
fine. Yes, I suppose it's fine. I remember doing something to that effect before. Because it kind of looks like this would be JavaScript or something, but it's not. It's GitHub's own thing. I mean, there is no language that I know of that has a string interpolation with this syntax.
Right. I think that's why they chose it to do the interpolation before the workflow even runs.
Yeah. So it wouldn't clash with things like caxa, because caxa has interpolation that reads like this. So yeah. So this is our working directory, this is our image, and this is the command that we are going to run in the container to build.
Right.
And this is similar to what we had before. So disabling go build output fixed place, and then when we see stub.go, we need to say source /. But there was nothing in here that was cding, that was changing into the stubs directory. Oh, it wasn't necessary because we had a global thing before that was changing into the stubs directory.
Yeah. Okay. So it was just mounting the stubs directory previously. So
yeah.
So yes, that'll work.
That is necessary now, and it wasn't necessary before. So now we need to put our caxa there, and we don't need this part. And it's nice that we're running this in Linux, so we don't have to. It's not nice that we're running this in Linux. It's nice that we are running this on a single platform, so we don't have to worry too much about the quotes. It will work.
Yes.
In fact, we don't need the quotes here.
Yeah.
And this is more consistent with what we had there.
And now we need to talk about testing the binaries with ARM.
Yes. That part we are not doing right here because we are not testing right here. So, and we will try to run the tests from the project. So I guess we can remove this for now. And then test results go away along with that. And then to upload the artifacts, we need to name this differently. I guess we can kind of borrow what we have over here. So this will be not the matrix OS. This will be always Linux. And here we will need to know just ARM6, 7, or 8. So I guess we need another variable here, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've always found it's easiest to just add another variable to the matrix and use that rather than trying to extract a variable from the platform string. That gets
Yes.
messy.
So now we will have something like, what do you want to call it? Architecture?
Yeah. Or you could just go with stub name and then just pass it the entire thing.
I guess. But I kind of like
Or
having
just
the
like
stub
the
name
string.
fixed here. I think it's nice this way. And then here we will not have OS, we'll have architecture, and then we need to put something here. We put something like 6, 7, and 64.
Yeah. Yeah, I would do V6, V7, and then ARM64 is fine. Just to keep it consistent with what other people are doing.
Fair. I wonder what Go does. They have ARM and ARM64. They don't have ARM7.
Yeah,
Which
that's
is
because
consistent
it's
with their
the
distribution.
Go ARM. So to do Go ARM 6 or
yeah,
7, Go OS, Go ARM, and then Go Arch equals ARM, Go ARM equals 6 or 7.
Yes. I wonder what they're doing in Node.js land. So they're calling ARM v7, ARM v8.
And then ARM v8. God, I
And
hate
then
the way they name these
ARM64 when it's
architectures.
macOS. Yeah. So yeah, let me catch up with chat. So Lauren says the Pendabot got bought by GitHub and now it just lays around annoying people with security vulnerability. Okay, nobody's really affected from. I didn't know that. I always just merged the pull requests from the Pendabot and didn't really think about it. Oh, okay. So it seems like the Pendabot can be as good as Renovate to some extent, but Renovate is better. Okay. Didn't know that. Learned something.
All right.
Thanks. So ARM6, ARM7, ARM64. Oh, you know what? You know what? I know where we want to grab this name from. I know exactly where we want to grab this name from. So when you're running Node, I wonder if this is how you do it. I think it is. And then we can say platform arch. No, it's process.platform process. No, it's not E, it's P. Oh, come on. Okay, node, process, platform, no, arch. Yes, that. And we want to have this string because we are probably going to use something like this to figure out which binary to use. So let's make this decision right now. So anywhere where we are saying AMD64, instead we'll say X64 and so on, right?
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
And David says on chat, hi, David. Thanks for joining us. So, yeah, I wonder if in the documentation they have a list of all the platforms. That would be lovely.
That would be.
So, process arch. Okay, they do have a list. So possible values are ARM, ARM64. Okay, so they have ARM and ARM64. It's the same structure as Go, right? You have to say ARM and then you have to say which ARM version you're using. Except that when you're using ARM64, that's a separate architecture. So I think we should copy that.
Yeah, there's a comment in the ARM architecture issue that told you can do process.arch to get ARM or ARM64, and then process.config.variables.arm version.
Yes.
Get the other one.
And I have that note somewhere, but it's easier for me to just come back here and grab it again. Yeah, so will also refer to this. And then we'll look at the variables arm version, which of course is not in this example, but arm version, I suppose, will be just a number like 6 or 7 or 8, or 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's come back here to our original issue that is not build Intel, it's build x64. And anywhere where we see Intel and anywhere where we see AMD, we'll now replace that. Oh, it's only one place. We'll replace that with an X. And then, since we are doing this for the architecture, let's also do that for the operating system, because the operating system will read like Ubuntu. That's no good. So let's look at platform. Possible values are Darwin, Linux, and Win32. Okay, Win32, even if it's 64, because why not? So now we'll have the same thing we have here, like architecture, we'll also have that over here. So let's grab the include part, and I will change most of it. But here where we have not platform, but OS, and then Ubuntu, Mac OS, and Windows. You know what? I think that now that we are doing this, let's not use OS here. Let's use platform. And then we'll have a special thing for the runs on, to make everything consistent with the notion of platform in Node. So we'll have Node, Node's platform, and Node's Arch guide our naming convention. So we have here platform.
Yeah.
The possible values
and then in each of those, you could have a variable called runner, and then it would just be runs on matrix.runner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Linux, Darwin, and Win32. And I'll order this by market share.
That hurts.
But it makes sense, right? It means that when people read this, most people will recognize this first. Like, oh, okay, I am welcomed here. Especially since Windows is so neglected when developing these kinds of tools. I think it's nice to put this by market share. Okay. So we'll have something like this. Let me get rid of all the highlighting. So we'll have something like this. So we'll have platform, and then something, and then we'll have the OS. Oh, these are different. So copy, 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 paste, paste, paste. So the OS is not what is guiding us anymore. So now we'll have a runs on situation here.
Yeah, and I would call those runners, and then use matrix.runner or runs on. Well, I would prefer runner just because people might get the keyword runs on confused in the command. They might think you're trying to actually say runs on in the include section rather than saying this is a variable called runs on. That's just personal preference of mine.
I don't care too much, so I'll do it like this. So we have that, and we broke everything again. So we'll have to go over everything and make sure that we fix everything. So when we say Mac OS, and we are saying Matrix OS, we shouldn't say Matrix OS in most places here. We should say Matrix platform.
Yes, and then you would change that to the, yeah.
So if the platform is Darwin, then we run this. And here on this output, we are saying ARM64, which I guess is the right name.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we have that going for us. And then over here, we are hard-coding x64 and ARM64. And then platform will be Win32, Darwin, Linux. The thing will read stub Win32 x64, which is mildly disorienting, but it is what it is. So that. Okay. We'll leave that running while we continue to check if we broke anything. So we have here a similar situation, but in this case, the platform is always Linux, but we do have different architectures. So
yeah, so those are Docker platforms.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we could just call it Docker platform or something else.
Yes.
Felipe says the runners are wrong. We set up Win32 platform to run on Ubuntu. On the main. Yep.
Thank you.
Looks like Linux should have been first.
Okay. But it's Darwin is special because it runs the cross compilation, but Win32 and Linux are not special, so they will succeed on the thing I just pushed. Good catch, thanks. So I was changing the platform over here, and I got all of them. So now this is Docker platform. And here where I'm saying architecture, we now we say platform, right? Because no, now we say Arch.
No, because it's ARM v7, ARM v6, and ARM 64. So it'd be Arch, yeah.
Yes. So here where we are saying architecture in all these places, and here as well, we say Arch. And then we say just ARM. Oh, but this...
Yeah, so we still have to differentiate between 6 and 7, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, you could do ARM-6, ARM-7, and then ARM64, but...
I think that's what we need to do, because they are different, right? When you have ARM64, you don't have a suffix. So this is not really mapping one-to-one with the process Arch thing.
Yeah.
This really is the flavor of the stub.
Yeah. So what you could do is just do ARM-6 as the string for the Arch. So you don't have to add an extra variable to do the 6 and 7. It's just hard-coded into that string.
Yeah, but since this is not mapping one-to-one with this notion of process Arch, I will not call this Arch. I will call this architecture. Whatever, just to make it different. Sure. And then architecture here should be ARM-6. I mean, we don't know exactly what process config will return. We need to check the process config variables ARM version will return something to us, but we don't know exactly what. Yeah, but I think we will return a number. We'll get to that point eventually. I can also start Docker over here and just grab an image that has node in there, and then I can
I'll do that. You can keep going.
Okay, thanks. And then ARM64. Oh, read the example more carefully, says Felipe. So I'll read more carefully and say ARM version. Okay. I don't know which example you mean. So yeah, I'll let you all figure this out while I'm doing the renaming thing here. So architecture and architecture and then architecture.
Yeah. So the arm version variable just returns a string either 6 or 7, it looks like.
Awesome. So that's what we need.
Yeah.
And here we need 7. And then there is this test bin thing. Huh?
It's hard to do this live and see everything going around.
Yeah, but it's so fun. I love pair programming.
Yeah, it is fun.
And with a pandemic, I cannot do it in person. And also, I live in a new country that I have never lived before, so I don't know anyone around here. And it's so nice to have you all here with me. I really appreciate it. So Docker platform, Docker image, and architecture. I group all the Docker stuff together.
Sure.
And architecture. So we have all this setup. And then everything else looks good to me. Yes. Seems like it.
Yeah.
I think this is going to fly. So let's go to the job upload because we want to upload the assets so we can see them on the list. Let's do that. And we can probably grab some of it. Oh, actually, we don't need a different job to upload, right?
Yes, you do. Because you have to collect all the assets together and then upload them all at once.
Why?
Well, you don't. Well, you need a job to create the release page. That has to be separate.
Okay. So this is about releases. This is when you're running on a tag.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We get to that later, but we need to upload the assets. And okay, so this is not for release.
So remember, assets are for releases and artifacts are for builds. Yeah.
Artifacts. Oh, and we already had that here. Upload artifact, it's already there. Why am I doing this? So now we could just grab this job, put it here, and see it running.
I think so.
Is the indentation correct? Don't you just love how YAML is indentation sensitive, white space sensitive?
Geez. Sometimes I have to have YAML lints open all the time. I hate it when you upload a workflow and when your indentation is wrong, it just doesn't show it running at all. And it doesn't show an error. Your syntax is wrong. It just acts like it doesn't exist. I hate that.
What I do is I have Prettier installed, and this is mainly a Node.js and really a JavaScript and HTML sort of thing, CSS, and so forth. And I think that your main language these days is Python, right?
Yeah.
So you probably don't care about Prettier that much. But if you are willing to install Prettier in your text editor, then you can do things like, if the space is off here by 1, then I can run Prettier and it will complain, see?
That's a good idea. I should do that. Because Python's intent sensitive too.
Yeah, and
it's
I don't think that it's exclusive to Prettier. As long as you have some kind of formatter for YAML installed on your text editor, I think it will complain. And then when I run Prettier again and the syntax is correct, then I have a check mark. And then sometimes I want to know if not necessarily on YAML files, but sometimes I want to know if I have a syntax error in JavaScript, for instance, or TypeScript. So let's go there. So do I have a syntax error? Like, am I missing one parenthesis? The way I test this is I put some spaces or I remove some spaces and I run Prettier. And sometimes it complains, but sometimes it just indents the code correctly or it doesn't. And then I know. Okay, so we have that. This seems to be fine. Let me check the chat to see if someone caught some mistake. No. Okay, so we'll test this. Main YAML push. And let's look at the actions, how they're running. Oh, not on my fork or my repository, but on your fork. So the last one failed. Let's see what went wrong and try to fix that. This check failed. That is informative. Job canceled. Oh, it's not called Linux latest. It's called Ubuntu latest. And that is why... Oh, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to have an explicit runner.
Right.
Okay, we'll try our luck. Meanwhile, we have to start thinking about testing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we have right here, testing. We are running the test here for x64, so this. And we will run the tests on macOS, Windows, and Ubuntu, but we will not test M1. That's what we decided on yesterday. And we'll test on 16 as well. And I suppose it's nice if we have a strategy similar to this. I can hear on my headphones when I get emails because I have the Mail app open. And when a GitHub action fails, I get an email. So I can hear that the action failed. Or maybe I got some other email. Okay, so platform is this, and then the runner, and then we change the runs online as well. And then we do a checkout, we do this to set up node, and then we'll need to do more than this. So first we will install the package, and then later we will run the tests.
Right.
But in between...
but we still have to fetch the right binary, yeah.
Yes, but in between we need to fetch the binary, and that is a download asset action. Do you have some download artifact? You do.
Yeah.
I'll copy it.
Yeah.
So download artifacts with a path, and I don't want only the path, I also want the name, because we are now using different names. So github.com. I visited this page freaking forever ago, and Chrome is still auto-completing with that. Name. It's just name. Okay, that's easy. So name and path. The name will be... We can copy that from here. I guess we can copy both, but not from here, from there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that might mean that it's going to extract the zip in that path. It may still need to be dot, but you should try to run this and make sure it works that way. Right?
Yeah.
Because remember, the artifacts are zips of the thing that you put in it.
Yeah, I can try that, but it's going to take a while. So I can just read this real quick and... Yeah, it seems like it will download the whole zip.
Yeah, so you may want to extract it on the current directory, because you're already putting a directory structure into the zip when you're uploading it.
Yeah. I wish they had an example that I could copy and paste here, but...
Sometimes I hate how these actions are like weird black boxes and you don't really know what's going on. Sometimes I miss the days of just having a shell script doing everything.
Yeah. I mean, I can at least look at the actions YAML or action YAML to see if there is some extra input, but no. So there is the artifact name and path. And if I give it a name, I think it will extract the zip for me in a particular directory, right? And then I can just grab the file from in there.
Yes.
So where do I want to put this? I could do something like this.
I'm fairly certain you want to extract it to the current directory and it'll put it where it needs to be. Because if I'm remembering right, I was uploading, for when I uploaded, I was using stub/file name. And then when I was extracting, I just had // and it would be in the stubs directory where it needed to be.
Oh, okay.
From my
that is convenient. And let's go back to the action because that may be the default. So it's not required.
Yeah.
The path is not required. And let's look real quick what they do when you don't provide a path. Required false, starts with blah. So it just takes your home directory. So I think that should work.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. If it starts with blah, it will not start with blah. How does this even work? If you don't pass a path, it's not required, so you don't pass a path. And then it will look at the path and say, does it start with a tilde? No. So it will do resolve of path. And resolve is coming from path from Node.js. So I can just run Node real quick and require path and resolve and then undefined. The complaints.
Oh.
Null. It complains. Empty string. That gives me the current directory. So I don't know what get input is doing. And I don't even know where it comes from. It comes from the same file. So again, I can just... Oh no, it comes from core. So assume this is going to return an empty string, which will return the current directory. So I suppose it's safe for us to do this.
Yeah, I mean, we can always just try it.
Yeah. So we will have installed this, and when running this, it will download an artifact from a GitHub release somewhere, because that's going to be the behavior when you install the package.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that. Is there a reason that you want to download the stub when you're installing the package rather than when you're running it for package time? Like when you're running it to package, couldn't you just download the stub you need at that point, and then it wouldn't simplify the installation process?
The problem with that is if I download the stub right before I publish to npm, it means that I'm embedding the stub in the npm package, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now what is your proposal? That we embed all the stubs in the npm package?
No, I mean, so when someone does npm install caxa, it doesn't download any stubs. And then when you do the npx caxa, then it detects the architecture and downloads the right stub for you. Is there a reason why you would have to download the stub during npm install rather than npx caxa? That's what I'm saying.
I understand. You make a good point. That would be easy to do to get the binary at runtime. I guess the only concern is what if you npm install and then go on a plane. But does it really matter? Not really. Right? That's a good idea. Does make the installation process easier.
Yeah, because you don't have to do architecture detection during installation.
+1 for download at on runtime. Okay, so this will be fine. It will not download anything, but that's fine. This will put the stub in the right place. +1 for download and install. Okay, great idea. Yeah, and I was thinking about security, but whatever we do in terms of checking checksums or whatever we do on that stage during installation, we could do exactly the same process at runtime. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure which is better. I just thought I'd bring up that idea.
Yeah, post install scripts suck. Lauren says on the chat. Okay. Yeah, great idea. So this will not download anything. This will put the stub in the right place, and this will run the tests because we already have the stub there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Felipe Casilio disagrees. The post install scripts are hard to work with, but I'd rather have everything necessary to work with at install rather than runtime. Yeah, that is my initial reaction as well. When you're installing a package, I have this feeling that when I install the package, I should have everything I need to go. So I should be able to npm install and then go on a plane. But we'll get there when we get there. Because even if you install CI and then you get a stub, then this will overwrite the stub on the on the default location.
Yeah. Yeah, in any case, this should work for whatever you choose.
And we are talking about 2 megabytes, so it doesn't really matter if we install this at npm install stage. Yeah, and when we download the first time, it will be in the right place and we won't download again. Which is an issue, right? Because what if you update caxa? We need some way of knowing that this stub corresponds to this version of caxa.
You could use the checksums, maybe?
Yeah, something like that. We'll get there when we get there.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter at this point, because if we install and get a stub, we will overwrite this stub. So we are good to go. So npm test. I mean, at this point, we broke so many things that npm test will most likely fail. For one thing, we didn't change the Go source code to look at a different separator. So it will fail. Whatever. Let's see if we can get... if we can get this far. And what if we leave this for later and we run a different test? It's a smoke test. We file node. We file this.
Yeah, just to see if it matches the architecture. Yeah.
Yes.
Or just to see if it exists, because under this, the stub wouldn't exist until you download it. At this point.
Yes. But we have downloaded it.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, the stub isn't downloaded at install currently. So if it even exists, then we succeeded in downloading the artifact.
Yeah. And while that is happening, let's go to the next step. So we build the stubs, we run the tests, and then we create a release if we are on a tag, right?
The tests are failing because you didn't require the build steps. So this at the very beginning of the job test, it needs job builds because it's running too fast.
Yeah, thanks. So we build, and then here we needs build. We leave that running and we start to think about GitHub releases and npm publish.
Right.
You know what I just thought? I think that it's possible for... let's check the documentation for npm. In your package.json. Where is the documentation for package.json? Configuring npm, using npm. Configuring npm. Here it is. I think that there are some ways for you to specify a dependency that is platform specific. You can say, I depend on package X if I am on Windows. I couldn't find it here, but I think that exists. So we could have a package that contains the stub. And then on package.json for caxa, we would depend on the right dependency.
Right.
So that's something that will be at install time, but it will not be a post install script. Yeah. I don't know. We'll get there when we get there. So I heard a ping, so probably the build failed.
I think that was the old one. I'm still watching the newest one.
Oh, okay. It's running. Build arm is going. Oh, build arm is faster than build x64. Okay, go arm. Oh, I was getting ahead of myself. I said we would start thinking about distribution, but no, we have to think about test arm.
Right, and that's where things get tricky.
Okay. Well, I suppose that most of the setup to get everything working here will be similar. So I'll start by copying and pasting this part.
Right. So the initial idea I had, and there's a comment on my pull request at the very bottom on how to do this, so you can pull code from there, is to just use a node Docker image and just run the tests in there. But it seems like, depending on the version that you're using, we did fix the tests, so it might be working better now. But I was also seeing in other tests that it was timing out, and I think that's because it was trying to compile those native modules that we were talking about yesterday.
Yeah, so we have two different things we may do. One is we don't run the tests on the architectures that are too slow to test, or we can run the tests. But if we run the tests, I suggest that we don't wait on the tests to pass before we publish to NPM and to a GitHub release. Because most likely the tests will pass, and if they don't, then I can just push another release. But I wouldn't like to, we have a minor thing we want to publish, and then it takes 40 minutes. That would be annoying.
Yeah.
But let's try to run the tests. Another thing we may do, that's alternative number 3. We can make the tests really fast. So if we are depending on, and I think there are some tests that exercise native dependencies, like SQLite3. We could run that test conditionally.
Sure.
If we are in ARM, we don't run it. Or we find a native dependency that does have ARM binaries precompiled.
Right. I think that would be the best case. And it's on my pull request, not the issue.
Okay.
Was the code I was talking about. But it looks very similar. Yeah, that.
Yeah, it's just a different image. Okay, so let's see the parts that we are going to reuse. So test ARM, runs on Ubuntu latest, has all the platforms, and can I nitpick something here? Because we are now basing the whole name structure on these architectures, right? Because they're coming from Node.js. So what if we make the architecture be this description here?
Sure.
Yeah, so before I move on with my copy and paste, I'm going to redo this part. So architecture, and then Docker platform Oh, no, yeah, we need to move some stuff. So I'll start doing this in bulk. And then that is already correct. We just moved this out of the way, and this is correct. Yeah. Is there something like a latest?
That will automatically pull latest. So that will pull the latest version of 1.16.
Yeah, but what about Go 1.17 when it comes out? I mean, something that would be equivalent to this in spirit.
Right. So let's actually go to that web page. So if you go to Docker Hub slash the ARM32 blah 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 Golang. So each of them have their own tags, and whether or not they have the latest and which one that pulls to is can be different across all the images, which is why I separated out a variable for the Docker image itself.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, ARM32 7.
While you are doing that, I'm going ahead and changing the test arm so that it tests instead of build. So now we have here, all the setup is the same. And then we have the run command that it will need to do all these things like install CI, download artifact, and so on.
Right.
And that can be annoying because download artifact.
Yeah, you'd have to do that beforehand.
Oh, no. You know what? We don't really. I download first, and then I create the...
Yeah.
I create the volume, and then I install, and then during install, even if we decide that we want to have the stub in place when installing, so if we have a post install script, it will look at whether you have a binary there already.
It will? It won't override it?
Huh?
So what I was thinking is you download the artifact first under a different name, and then in the command that you run on Docker, you have a step that just swaps out the file names to make sure the right binary is there.
Yeah.
It seems like the simplest way to do it.
Yeah, it seems like a good way to do it. So we will do it before we run the tests. Yeah, download artifact. And now we need to not use matrix platform, but matrix architecture and Linux, like so. And okay, I want to go back to this, and it failed. Oh no. I am merging. I am merging now.
I guess it's time to rebase.
Yeah, or yeah, rebase or merge. So whatever I have here looks good to me. I'm committing this. I'm committing this as well, so I just have a clean working directory, and then git merge. Is this on master? I think it's on master.
I think you want your master, not mine.
Yeah, but that's what I have on my machine, I suppose. Let's look at the Git log real quick to make sure that this is correct. So the action stubs has all this stuff that we have been doing now, and it has something purple or I don't know, pink. But that is the one that fixes the configuration. Okay, so I did the right thing.
Okay, cool.
Now, let's push this. Oh, come on. Such an annoying mistake to make. And now we'll have to wait 10 minutes. Oh my god. Okay. Oh, and I will have the same problem here. Test arm depends on build arm, so I already know that I need that. Hang on, I will be right back. Okay, I am back. So build arm, we are here. So I don't think I need to push this, right? I just changed the dependency, and this test arm is... No, it's exactly what we're looking at. It's exactly what we want to test. No, we are also looking at this, so we are also interested in this part. Okay, so that build, I'll let it continue. Test arm doesn't depend on build arm, says Felipe on the chat. Well, it's downloading the artifact.
Well, no, it's failing when it tries to download the artifact. It's running before the artifact is created. It needs the need statement.
Yeah, it does. You are agreeing with me, right? That this line is necessary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm looking at the old run, I guess. Yeah, I clicked on an older run, and I think that's what the viewer was looking at as well.
And it's not only a matter of timing, I don't think. I don't know about this very well, but I think there is some sort of dependency graph on GitHub, and you cannot download an artifact from something you don't need. I may be wrong, I don't know.
I'm looking at commit 4590, and it still doesn't have the needs. Have you pushed
I have not committed this yet.
Oh, okay, never mind. I think that's what
okay. I just did that. I was holding back because I wanted to see the output of this one, and I do know that sometimes when you push multiple times to the same branch, GitHub cancels your previous run because it knows, oh, there is already something here that is newer, so I will cancel the previous one. So that's why I was holding back and didn't push before. But now this build finished, so I pushed the other one, and we can see what that will result in. But test x64 has some output going on here, so
yeah, I believe that's an older.
Okay. So when I say npm install CI, that is failing, but that's because it's trying to run the tests. Why would npm install CI try to run the tests?
Huh.
It doesn't do that on my machine, does it? Install CI. So it does. When you say install CI, it cleans the node modules folder. It starts with a clean slate. It only looks at your .lock, your package package lock.json
it's running
file.
the tests.
And it's running the tests. Why would it do that? Do I have some weird thing on my package.json file? Scripts test, scripts prepare, and stub. So it shouldn't. npm install ci running tests. It shouldn't run the tests. npm ci install test, install ci test. Oh, look at that. When you say no, I was gonna say that when you say install ci, it was an alias for install ci test, but it's not. But we can say npm ci instead. And that should not run the tests. But in any case, we just learned that there is an issue because we are on the tests, we are using Prettier to check the styles of the TypeScript files. But then we put the Go file in there as well. So yeah, CI is the command that we want to run. So here in the main YAML, whenever I say install CI, it's only one place, I will want to say in npm CI instead. I really thought that npm install CI was an alias for this, but it's not. It's an alias for this. And it's not documented. Awesome. So npm CI is the command we want. That is part of the issue. The other part of the issue is that this will not be recognized by Prettier. So we have two options. We can say that Prettier should only look at .hes files, or we can move this out of the source directory. Again.
I just put the TS on the Prettier statement.
It seems like Prettier is the only... It's the only offending part of the tool set because the TypeScript compiler, as we determined last time, it doesn't copy over the Go file, it doesn't complain about the Go file, it really doesn't care. So I would just say .ts. And then I can run the tests real quick, and it probably will fail, but it will not fail on the Prettier part. So I'm happy with that. And then what do we have here? We have that fix. I want that. And then just for good measure, I'll push this. But what's going on lately on the builds?
They're failing at the test because of Prettier. That's it.
Okay. Or and we do have some outputs here on test arm. So it seems to be downloading the thing just fine. And then we don't do anything
but it's
else.
still looking for stub/Linux, and that's where it's failing because we got rid of the old stubs. So the index.test.ts needs to be updated with the new stub name.
This index.ts has a lot of problems now, and even stub.go has a lot of, or at least a few problems. We already know we want to fix this, for instance, but I'm not getting there yet. I just want to, in this stream, I just want to figure out the build situation.
Right.
And, okay, so we have something running here, but I was interested in looking at the output of the test x64, because that's where we run file. Oh, so it was failing because of the Prettier thing. So it didn't get to the part where it tries to file. And that's what you were saying before. Right. Mm-hmm. So we need to wait for this one. And I am surprised that using Docker and doing all that setup with QEMU, even with all that, ARM is faster.
Yeah, it might be because their infrastructure is actually Linux machines with Windows VMs and Mac OS VMs. So that could be another bottleneck.
Yeah, it is true.
So it's not. Yeah.
It is true that the x64 for Linux finishes first.
Yeah. I think they're Windows and Mac OS VMs. I can't be 100% correct. I don't think they actually have Windows and Mac OS on hardware. That seems like it would be hard to spin up.
I think that you, at least Mac OS, you do need on hardware because of terms of service. I may be wrong. I'm sure that this was the case in the past. I'm not sure it's still the case. But it was not legal to run Mac OS on non-Mac hardware. Hackintosh, essentially. It was illegal. Okay, so everything's passing. And let's look at the output of build x64. Specifically, no, not build, test.
Yeah, it's still waiting on Darwin. But the ARM test passed.
Yeah, but there's nothing too interesting there.
Yeah, it's actually just building again.
Yeah, it's a leftover from before. Okay, so it's still waiting for Darwin. Meanwhile, let's take a look at this one because this is a low-hanging fruit. npm publish should be easy. If we are on a tag and I need to run the tests on x64 and initially also on ARM, I'll try to be a good person here. Runs on Ubuntu latest, check out, use node version 16, not that it matters. Then run CI, which installs and publish. That's not enough. Oh, no, wait.
Yes, that is enough. It would be enough, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're going to put the logic to download the binary in the actual project, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So npm publish should be good to go. But I'll not push this. Okay, I'm leaving this on my machine for now.
All right.
So that it doesn't cancel this build, for instance. Okay, everything on the build is over. Test is going to start soon. And now we are still waiting on the output from here to know what to do with the x64 platform, but we know what to do with, or at least we have enough information to continue with the test on ARM. So let's do that. So here we have the whole setup, I think, is good. The whole setup is good. We download the artifact. And at this point, we need to run a command that will run the tests.
Yeah. The Linux test, it couldn't find the file. No such file or directory when you ran file.
Okay.
So it's not being extracted to the correct place now.
It's annoying that our tests were so specific because we don't know exactly what we have on the file system at this point, right?
Yeah.
So instead of saying file blah, I will say file blah, but I will also say find dot so we can look at the file system.
Right.
This is lovely.
Yep, that's why no one wants to do actions maintenance, and why I've had a lot of success just pushing it to people, because they don't want to do all this iteration.
Yeah, I mean, I'm having fun. But look at that, everything is green. I mean, it's not doing what we want, but it's green. So now let's look at this command. Docker run, I think it will be a single command. No, it will be two commands. We need to rename something and then we need to run. So
yes.
Let's put the, I was going to say, let's put the stub in place, but we don't know exactly what the file system looks like. So we don't know exactly where the stub is for us to put it in place.
Yeah.
So let's hold off on that. Docker run RM platform and then mount and then the working directory and then a Docker image and then in there you don't do this. what you do is npm ci, and well, I guess at this point we can install ci test. As long as install doesn't overwrite a binary.
Yeah. We got to make sure the binary is not overwritten by install. Or we need to overwrite the binary after install manually.
Yeah. I think that we are kind of painting ourselves in a corner, because what would happen when you update caxa? Well, I guess the idea that we had on the chat was good. I don't think I read it out loud, but I read it, that is in the source we could have a checksum. So if the checksum doesn't match, we download. So that will not be painting ourselves on the corner, because here on this install CI test, we will do some magic to have the right checksum or to have no checksum. Okay, so that should be good. And, are you following the chat? I may be missing some stuff in there.
There was a suggestion to add or exit 1 to the file test so you don't miss a fail, but we're just using the file as a smoke test right now. We're not going to put it in the final test.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad idea to catch it while we're still looking.
Yeah. Yeah, this I expected this whole thing will go away.
Yeah. So the cache stub is at the root of the directory. So it seems like when you uploaded the artifact, it found the file you wanted and put that at the root of the zip file. So now when you extract it, you want to put it in the right place as well.
Am I looking at the right run? I think I am. So this is stats x64 download artifact.
Yeah, the run file. Yeah, this is why I like to name my steps.
Oh, but that's not the wrong.
That's an old one. Yeah.
Run. Okay, point taken. Maybe I should name my steps.
I mean, it's a style preference, so no one's right or wrong.
Yeah. So cache stub is right in there. Okay, that's nice. So do you think that we should, when downloading the artifact, pass a path?
Yeah, and I think if it's the same path, it'll put it in the right place. The same path as upload, I mean.
So let's look at upload real quick. With this name and path. And I do want to test this, but I would like to not wait for 10 more minutes. Well, I guess I can spend some time commenting out some of these platforms, and then that would be faster, but then I would be wasting time doing that, while I could be doing, for instance, the GitHub release, which is a low-hanging fruit. So we'll push what we have, and then we'll leave that running. It's someone else's machine. We are open source. We are not paying. It's their problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Microsoft. That's a weird sentence to say.
Right.
Okay, so I pushed. And now it will fail here. It will fail on install CI test. It will fail here. Whatever. It will also fail here. I'll leave this here. Doesn't matter. As long as we have this output, doesn't matter if this part fails. Let's move on to publishing artifacts. Assets. Artifacts. Let's move on to pushing assets. You have a job to upload right here. I'll grab this. And with that, we are done with the build stubs file. And I will put this here because the way I think about it is when you publish to npm, the thing is ready for people to install. So we need the stubs in place already. So job upload, naming a job with job underscore doesn't feel good to me. So instead, what I would do is release, because it's a GitHub release.
Sure.
Name, no, build and build. Well,
yeah, so those should be test now.
I think so, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so. So it will be the same as this one. And this will be running on latest. It checks out the code. It doesn't need to check out the code. It does need to download artifacts.
I think I remember there was a reason. It might have been when I was extracting the artifacts, it couldn't find the directory. Maybe that was why. I mean, in any case, we can try it this way and put it back if it needs to be there.
Yeah, and that's when you end up with a bunch of new tags and releases, right?
Yeah.
Testing this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which reminds me that we don't want to run this unconditionally. We want to run. This is kind of behind our faces, but we want to run this if we are on a tag.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. That should.
So if we're on a tag and the test's passed, we are running this on Ubuntu. We are going to download some artifacts. We need to download all of them, and then we do the checksum.
Yeah, I was doing the checksum here because you just have all the files in one place, so it's easier to just do it for all of them and put it into a file, rather than trying to do it for each build and then. It's just in a text file. You just put SHA-256 sums in the release page as well.
Oh yeah,
and it's also part of the showing the output. Yeah. So this is the problem when you download the artifacts, since some of them have the same name. We might have to download them individually, then rename them as you go through.
That's fine, right? Because as far as I understand, we are able to do that with the download. I mean, if I interpret the documentation right, when we are saying this, we are saying where we want to put
exactly.
it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, now you just have to have that for each of the artifacts.
Supported platforms, yes.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is how we are sharing this file. I think it should be part of the thing we push to npm. It should be part of the package.
Okay. You could always download that as an artifact in that step, and then you can publish with it.
Yes, I think that's necessary. I mean, I think I don't know if when you are downloading from npm, there is any notion of trust. But my intuition is when you download from npm, that's the end of the story. You may still need to download stuff at runtime, and that's fine. But at least the notion of trust should be already pinned down. So we will create this file. We will push it as an artifact. And then we will download it and make it be part of the thing we put in the package. This is getting out of hand. This is getting so complicated.
Yeah. I think it'll be worth it in the end, though.
I think it will be, yeah. I'm very happy with what we are building. It's better in many ways. And if it wasn't for you all, I would be too lazy to do this. I would probably cross-compile and say, I'm not running tests on ARM, and go figure it out yourself. Okay, so download artifact, and now we need to download a bunch of artifacts.
Right.
And then we'll do the checksum.
And I already have the checksum uploaded to an artifact because I was trying to make sure it was in the collected artifact I had before.
I mean, I guess this is a good time for us to stop and think about the distribution. I think now is the time when we make that decision forever.
Right.
Our options are, we publish this as part of a GitHub release. We publish this as an NPM package that we install conditionally, or we make it part of the NPM package, whatever. Right? We could just, since we are downloading here the checksum, we could download the artifact, embed the artifact, the stub itself, in the package and publish it. And it's like 21 megabytes that people will have to download.
That's possible, but now you have to rename all the artifacts, which is the problem we're running into right now anyway.
Yes. Lauren says GitHub release. Download at runtime, right?
Yeah, I would go towards GitHub release because people can use these stubs outside of the caxa JavaScript package as well. So it'd be nice for people to just go somewhere and download the stub manually. At least I could see myself wanting to do that.
You do it this way.
I didn't know that. So me not being a JavaScript developer, I wouldn't know to go to somewhere like this. Whereas with the GitHub, I just say, oh, I go to the release page.
Yeah, we could have that in the documentation. If we agree that this is better in any way, then we can put this in the documentation. It's already a very edge case to want to use the stubs without
That's
Node.
Fair.
So we could just say, yeah, this is a CDN that lets you just use whatever's in NPM. So when we publish to NPM, it's already available here, and you could download the stubs from here. This is a path that will never change, and it contains the stub forever. So that's okay. We are taking out the stub from the Git repository, but we could put it in the NPM package. And then,
That's
I know,
possible.
we will need to rename a bunch of things if we do that. A GitHub release is also okay, but then we have to download it at runtime or at install time with a post-install script. And then we need to have that text file with the SHAs. So we sort of have to build this bridge anyway. We will have to download something that we will ship with the NPM package. We will have to build this bridge anyway. What is the advantage of doing all this for a SHA that we then use to download? What are we getting here?
You can verify that it was built on a specific infrastructure. I think that's about all you can get out of it. It might make sense so we don't want to commit it to the GitHub repository and build on actions, because then you would have to run a whole new action that commits to the repository itself, and then it's detached from the tag.
Agreed.
And that's not good. But if you really want to put it in the NPM package, having it built on actions and then published with the artifacts would make sense, if you're okay with having a larger package that's published on NPM. Or
I don't care about the NPM package size. It's 21 megabytes, and it's JavaScript. People are used to having gigabytes of dependencies. I don't start any project without NPM installing 500 megabytes worth of dependencies. Lauren cares.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, so if you don't prune your dependencies the right way, then you do have all these binaries just sitting around in your project.
Yes. And there is also a compromise, which is to have a separate package that is the stub itself, and then using package.json, we point to the right one.
That could be the way. I'm less familiar with that, just because I'm not a JavaScript.
Yeah, so we can Google real quick for package.json dependency platform specific. And we have to check if it's okay with the platform, the architecture, the ARM version, and whatnot. Optional dependencies, no. Install dependencies, no. No. Overrides, okay. Okay, so I think that would be the way to go. So let's see what that is all about. Package JSON overrides. Yikes. Let's stop and think about this for a moment real quick. We can look at what the native dependencies are doing, because what we have essentially is a native dependency. So let's look at better SQLite 3 and see what they are doing.
Lauren's saying there's no overrides in JavaScript NPM. There's only resolutions in Yarn.
Oh, no. What are they doing in better SQLite 3? They have scripts. So whatever. If we have to deal with scripts, then we have to deal with scripts. Then, yeah, my dream is not a reality. There is no way for you to say that the dependency is platform specific. You have to work your way around using scripts. So that is a no-go. So that is out of the table. We will have to do some shenanigans to get the right version. So our options are either embed all the binaries in the npm package or download at some point. And if you're downloading, you might as well just download from a GitHub release. So we will proceed with our course of action. We will upload to the GitHub releases. We will embed the file with the SHAs in the npm package. So let's continue. Release. And we will wrap this up in a few minutes. Are you up to doing more of this tomorrow?
Sure, if it's the last one. I can't procrastinate for too long.
Okay. I will continue doing this every weekday at the same time, more or less. And every weekday maybe off a few days. But I will try to continue this even if we don't finish it. But yeah, let's continue. So release. This will download some artifacts. And we were looking at the path. So we have some build results that will tell us if this worked. And it didn't work. So, okay, we already know that. So let's look at this output. Node modules .bin / caxa stub. Caxa stub is there as a directory.
Oh, geez. These artifacts are really annoying.
Yeah. So what we have to do is we don't say a path. This will put this in the current working directory. Then we
just put it where it needs to go.
Put it where it needs to go.
Yeah, I agree.
So we move caxa stub to node modules .bin. I know I have a typo. Caxa stub. I mean, we could just download this beforehand.
Well, we were downloading after so that it overwrote a binary that was downloaded during install, in case we were going to go that route.
Yeah, but I think that we made everyone happier if we download at runtime.
Okay, all right, then we're committed.
Yeah, so now we have only one run command. That will do this, then that, and then the other thing. could do it in this order, and then we would install CI test, which could be kind of cool, but I believe we would need to make this. Oh, no.
Yeah,
that's a no-go, because install CI test will delete everything in no modules. So we need to be very careful about npm in CI, move the thing to the right place, and then run the tests. Okay. Let's finish the release. I know that the test arm is still broken. Let's finish the release, because then the test arm will be the only thing left for us to do, right?
Right. And I could work on that later today and come back tomorrow with something definitive. Because it's going to be weird shenanigans with images.
Oh, yeah. Possibly. We need to find the images that have Node installed.
Right.
And okay, so let's just sketch something here that we know we want, and then we'll leave in the blanks for you to fill off stream. Is that okay by you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's totally fine with me.
So we will download the artifacts. We don't need to pass a path, but we need to pass the name.
Right, and we have to do it for all of them. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so let's do this. Download artifact. Yeah, we have one right here. That's not too far. With the name. Now we don't have the luxury of having a matrix. We'll need to specify all of this hard-coded.
Yeah.
Something like this will do. So we have Windows, Mac OS M1, Linux 64. We're not doing Linux 32. We don't care about Linux 32.
No, we're not.
Do you care about Linux?
Moment.
Yeah, I don't think anyone cares. Do you care?
I care about Linux, but not 32-bit.
Okay. So I lost count. I start again. Windows, Mac OS M1, Linux 64, ARM 6, ARM 7, ARM 8, ARM 6, right. ARM 7, ARM 8, which is ARM 64. Good. So here we'll have the stub on, and a bunch of these, 3 of them are x64. So, no, they are not the same. So this is Windows, Darwin, and
I think it's Win32. Is it Windows? I thought it was Win32.
You're right, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And then all of these are Linux.
Yes.
And they are
you forgot one of the Darwins. You forgot the Darwin ARM.
I did. So we put it here, Darwin, ARM 64. And then ARM. 6, 7, and 64. I had one extra. But I think this is right. Now,
yes.
All of these download to the same place. So, what if we put them in different places? Because we already know that it's going to generate different directories, and all the directories we have files with the same name.
So now, one of your selections got messed up on the second to last line.
Yeah.
I think.
I'll try this again. So we have all these lines with name. Copy and path.
There we go.
There we go. So we'll have a directory with the name of the stub, and then in there will be a /caxa stub file.
Yes. Except the ARM one will have, or the Darwin ARM one will have a different name. But all the rest will be the same name. Yeah.
No. Oh no. This name is different.
Yeah. I feel like that's the hardest part of programming is just naming things.
You are not the first to say that.
Yeah.
Hmm. 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 I am tempted to separate these out.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I mean, it wouldn't hurt to spin up another Mac VM.
We can still use the same VM. Yeah, it's kind of messed up that we are uploading an ARM from a build x64
Yeah.
action. So yeah, we have a special build ARM, but this is
Yeah. So maybe we make a build cross compile, and then if you want to support more things through the cross compilation, you just add more things to the cross compile matrix. But right now it only have Darwin ARM. But we could support like Linux 32 if you wanted to cross compile that.
yeah. I like that idea, but I'm going to with the more concrete build Linux ARM, build Darwin ARM.
Sure.
So what we are doing is we are taking the build x64 and we are breaking it apart in two. So I copied that, and now when we have this part, we remove it.
Yeah.
And this part,
there's no more conditionals.
As well.
Yeah.
And then this is build Darwin ARM. So here we don't have a matrix. Or do we? Do you want to have everything hard-coded or a matrix with a single platform?
So if you want to extend this to other cross compilations, I would write it that way now, or we could always just change it later to do that.
Yeah,
it's not hard to do it later.
Okay, let's do it later. So it runs on macOS latest. It uses this Go version. It does this step, not conditionally. It produces everywhere where I see this, I change it to that. The upload artifact that we want is this one, but it's not conditional.
Mm-hmm.
Seems about right.
Yeah.
So the tests don't touch this. So no test will ever depend on this one.
Right.
And this is not test ARM. This is test Linux ARM.
Mm-hmm.
And then the release depends on test Linux ARM.
And also Darwin ARM, or build Darwin ARM. Yes. Right, just in case that one takes forever.
Yes. Yeah. So the release depends on these two tests and build Darwin ARM. And so does the npm publish. Well, actually, npm publish doesn't depend on all this. npm publish depends on release.
Yeah, you could go that way.
You have build Darwin ARM. I have a typo. So bold? I don't. You have a typo. You have build Darwin ARM, still using a matrix for the name of the upload artifact. Thank you. So I thought you were saying that I had a typo, but what I have is a mistake. Yes. So that looks good to me.
Mm.
So now we are here. We have we made all this so that this would be consistent, and now this is consistent. We are just looking at all the 64s, and now that we pulled, doesn't really matter, but now that we pulled all the 64s into one place and the ARM into another, I will reorder this. So it now is in the order of the actions above. Win32, Darwin Linux, Darwin ARM, ARM6, ARM7, and ARM64. And then let's do the checksums. I think that it's fair to have a name here. So here you are removing the stubs go. We don't have that anymore. And then you're doing a SHA to 56. And we don't do that of star. We do that. Oh, I guess we do that of star.
Yeah, I was putting all the binaries in one directory and then just doing file star, and it put everything in the same text file.
Yeah, but now we have a directory. We have not checked out the project here in the release. So we have a directory with just the directories containing stubs.
Yeah.
So this, I think this should work. I don't know exactly what this does with when you have multiple directories, but I think it will.
Ooh, that's a good question.
I can test it real quick. It shouldn't be easy. It shouldn't be hard.
Sure.
So I have directories A, B, C, and I touch A, B, B, C, C, and then I SHA. Oh, I should move A, B, and C into SHA, go into SHA, and then SHA some. I don't have SHA-256 sum. It seems to be a Linux thing. Whatever. I do have SHA sum, and I'm pretty sure I can pass which algorithm I want. For example, that algorithm 256. Not that it matters. Star.
Nope. Maybe globbing, so star star slash star. Ugh.
But it does complain that some things are directories. So what if we find... Oh, find is going to return directories. It's still going to return directories.
You can do... Oh, directory? Yeah, it'll still have directories in the string. You can do -type f, but I think it'll still return the path, the whole path.
Oh, that's what we want.
Yeah. Oh, you have to give it dot. It's a so find dot single dash type f.
Yeah. Is it dash dash?
I think it's a single dash.
So again, it may be a problem that I am in macOS.
Yeah.
So it's using the
Here, let me
BSG stuff. You know what I'm going for, right? I'm doing some find thing and then shards.
Yeah, it's find dot dash type f. That's what's working on my machine.
Find dot type f. Awesome. Shards into the thing we were running before with the SHA sum. Okay, whatever.
So you can do that, but if you then tried to use that file to confirm all the files, they need to have the same directory structure. So the way I had it before, it just had the file name, and when you use the SHA-SUM verify from a file, right? Because you can do SHA-SUM, give it the file with the sums in it, and then it'll just check in the current directory for all the files, and it'll give you a report.
Okay, so it may be better for us to build this by cding into the directory and then running SHA-SUM and appending all the results into a single file.
We could do that. Well, we still have to rename all of these stubs anyway to release them. So we might as well just rename them, move them all to a directory, then do the checksums, and then you just upload from that directory anyway.
Fair. So now we are going to run a command that makes a directory called stubs, and then moves this into, oh, sharks is not gonna do it because it's not the last argument. How about
That
name them
will
properly when
also
creating
overwrite
them?
things.
Felipe Castillo says the problem with
Yeah.
that is that we would have to do. We are doing some special cases here, but we would have to do some special cases when testing, so it amounts to the same. I think. I don't think we would be saving any work by creating different names when building. And
Well,
I do like that. I do like that there is a parallel between what we do here and what we do in the package.json.
Yeah, that is fair.
So I think that renaming here is a good strategy. In fact, when we are doing this part, oh, okay, so you're using a different action here. I was using one that had you upload each file, and then we would rename on upload.
I see. Yeah, I hated that action so much. That's why I switched to this one, because you can just list the files rather than doing a whole new action every time.
But we sort of have to do equivalent work, which is...
Well, we have to rename them for the checksums anyway.
But how about...
Okay.
How about this? We checksum each file separately, and then maybe we put all the checksums together. We find out what is the best thing to do with the checksum. But we just use, we do have to do some renaming. We have to. So what if we use the GitHub Actions, the one that is actions, or action, something like that. What if we use that one and we rename on upload? Because we have to do some renaming. So let's rename on upload. And then the shasam, we don't want to rename before the shasam because you just explained that we want this name to match. And when you download, the name, when you download it will be renamed. At least if you download with us, we will rename stuff when we download. So if you are doing something else, then you have to figure out yourself how to do the checksum. But we will rename on download, so we might as well just rename on upload. Right?
But then how are you gonna differentiate the files in the checksum file if they all have the same name?
I may upload different checksums. You know what? What could be nice? We could have this as the name of the checksum.
Oh, so just individual checksums. That could work.
Yes. So we can. Okay. So Felipe Castillo says you can use a placeholder for replacing to automate the naming. Ah, okay.
You mean when downloading?
Not really sure. But anyway, I will write some silly code that will do the thing we want. So the silly code will look like, don't make a stubs directory. We don't need that. Don't do find or whatever. What we are going to do is we are going to cd into some directory, placeholder here. Then we will shasam star output to something.txt, same something, same placeholder. And then we'll move to the next one.
Yeah, I just put that in a for loop and then just star all the directories.
Yeah, I guess we can do something like for, I don't know, file stub as stub in directory, for directory in, and then here I do something like ls.
I would just do star because the only thing that's going to be in there is a directory because we only download these artifacts.
Okay, so
Or you could be more specific about it if you want to future-proof yourself.
no, I'm fine with that. So cd into the directory and
you want to put that in a subshell. Otherwise,
yes.
you'll be stuck in that directory. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll put some parentheses now. cd into the directory, SHA-SUM with an output to, well, directory.txt, which is kind of silly, but that's correct. And then done. Parse error and you're done. Oh.
You might need input for SHA-SUM. You might have to do like star.
Yeah, but you're correct. We need to say, well, in my example here, we need A, B, and C, which is directory, I guess. But the problem is my syntax here. It's for blah, 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 something do, and then it's not done. What is the keyword that goes here? And? No, it's not and. Dash.
I think it's just because it was...
Oh, it is done.
Yeah, I think it's just because it saw the redirect and it was expecting something else. Or the SHA-256 was expecting more arguments.
No, there is a parse error in our command.
Is there?
Could it be one of those cases in which bash is different? Because I am running Z shell, which is the default shell in macOS.
Oh, it might be here.
Your semicolon has to be before do. Thank you.
Ah.
There you go. Okay, that for loop works. Which is funny because here I will not do semicolons. I can do it like this. Now it looks like the example I had. So for directory in star, cd into the directory. This is caxa stub, and then directory.txt.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really a directory. What do you want to call this?
I usually just do D for directory, just to make it short.
It's not really a directory, is it? It's a platform.
Yeah.
It's.
I'll
call this a stub.
Sure. Or you could call it artifact. Since it's
I like that. Artifact. I like that. So we go in there, we do the checksum, and then we don't need this part.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't need this. We did it. So now we are uploading a bunch of things, right?
Yeah, and those paths need to be changed. Although...
Because what will GitHub do?
So
if you pass it a path.
Yes. Yeah. So now we have all these artifacts that each individually hold a stub. And what we want to do is put all the SHA-SUMs in an artifact as well. So now we could...
Why do we want to put them in the artifact? Because of npm.
Right.
Right. But at least now they go by different names.
Yeah. Yeah, so you could do a glob where it's I believe it'll be */**.text would grab all of them, and you could name that artifact SHA-SUMs. I can't remember if they do ** for directories and actions or just a single star.
Okay, It has been 2.5 hours. I think we all know what needs to be done, but let's wrap this up. If you are you available to join us tomorrow?
Yeah.
Same time? Okay, so it will be the last one for you if you want it to be the last one for you, or if you want.
Or at least
I
for
think
this PR.
Yeah, I think we'll probably finish this part. And then the JavaScript part is actually easy compared to this. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see next week.
That's hard for me. So.
All right. Okay. We know what we have to do. If you want to do the grunt work, you said that you could look into the Node.js images, and if you want to do the grunt work, we all know what needs to be written here. If you want to do it off stream and just push, it's in your branch. You can do that. If you don't, I understand. It's a lot of work. So we can do that on stream. It's fine. But let's wrap this up for now. Thank you all. Thank you very much, Matt, for showing up, and Felipe, and Laurie, and everyone else who did not say anything on the chat. That's fine. Thanks for watching. Thank you for subscribing to the channel, supporting me on Patreon and PayPal. Thank you, David, also, who showed up and said hi on the chat. We see you all again tomorrow, and we'll continue from where we left off. In fact, I don't know exactly how the state of the configuration is right now, but I'm pushing exactly what we have. Matt may or may not work on this. But yeah, let's wrap this up. Thank you all for being here. It has been so pleasurable to have you all here and work on this together. It has been a while since I worked with a team like this, and it's a lot of fun. All right, see you on the next one. Bye.